Welcome, Engineering 21 students, to the fall of 2023. Now that we have completed our keychain with our initials on it, we're going to open up a new tab, and we're going to insert a picture of the KCC Lighthouse. Insert, Canvas, insert from computer, and there it is. I'm going to double click on it. And I'm going to click right here. I'm not going to click here. I'm not going to click here. This is a left click and release. I want to put the image of the KCC Lighthouse right here so we can trace it. And there it is. However, it's too small. I'm going to make it .5. Let's see, 6.5. I'm going to scale it. I can scale it on the x-axis, I can scale it on the y-axis, or I can scale it on both axes at the same time. Alright, so that's a lot bigger. Now we can see it. Let's click OK. Let's go to the top view. Let's spin it around so we can see it. I'm going to make it bigger. Okay, we want it to be approximately, let's see, it's in millimeters, so it's 5, 10, 15, 5, 10, 15. Looks like it's about 30 or 40 millimeters. How do we know it's millimeters? Well, it's right here. See, here's millimeters. I can switch to inches if I want by clicking here, but we're going to stay millimeters. All right, there we have it. So let's trace it. How do we trace it? Well, we always start with Create Sketch, and then we extrude. So I'm going to left click and release. I'm going to go back to the home button so I know that I'm drawing on the right plane. I don't want to draw on this plane. I don't want to draw on this plane. I want to draw on this bottom plane. That's where the picture is. So I'm going to click, left click and release. And there it is. I'll be drawing right on this plane now. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so I can see it. I'm going to left click and release, create, left click and release line. And I'm going to notice it's snapping. The reason why it's snapping is because if I go down here, it says snap to grid, which is good. I want to snap to the grid. Anyway, I'm going to trace it. Here we go. Let's make it a little bit smaller. We could start right there. Left click and release. Left click and release. Left click and release. Left click and release. Let me make it bigger so I can see where I'm at. Left click and release. Left click and release. I'm making it bigger so I can see where I'm at. Left click and release. Left click and release. Notice it's giving me the dotted line so I can match it up to this point right here. Let's see. Left click and release. Let's match up to this point. Just go over here to the point that you want to match to and it'll give you a dotted line. There we go. Left click and release. How about this point over here? Okay, let's get that one straight. Left click and release. Let me make it smaller and bring it back into the middle. I'm just using my scroll wheel. Okay, let's get this point. Just hover over on the point. It'll give you a dotted line so you can see where you're going. Left click and release. Let's see, what do we got here? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left click and release, and double click. And there we go. We got the image of our lighthouse. Let's finish the sketch. Left click and release. Let's go back to the home button. And there it is. Okay, by the way, your picture is right here. I can turn it on or turn it off. Okay, and it's on the correct plane. Here's your sketches, by the way. This is the sketch that we just did. Watch. See? Visible, invisible. Okay? Anyway, how do we 3D it? It's very simple. Just hover over it, left click and release until it turns blue. Left click and release over here. We get the arrow. We can click, drag, and drop. Or we can just go right in here and we're going to make it 3 millimeters. 3.00. And hit enter. Okay. Let's get rid of the picture. We don't need it anymore. And we can start drawing our name right here. Or I think we'll do the circle first. We'll do the ring. All right, here we go. How are we going to make the ring? So we can hold it onto our keychain. Well, I'm going to go right here. I'm going to draw the ring on this plane down here. Again, 2D sketch, 3D extrusion. Left click and release. And I do not want to draw on top. Be careful. We got to get on this plane right here. Not this one right here. Not this yellow one right here. This yellow one that's actually underneath. So you can click down here because this is the plane. Okay? The green and red plane right here. Sorry, the blue and the red plane. The green is the yellow axes up and down. This is the z-axis right here. This is the x-axis right here. And this is the y-axis. We want to draw down here within this plane here. So I'm just going to click. Okay, now believe it or not, we're actually going to be drawing on that plane, even though you can't see the plane. So don't worry about it. We're going to go back to the home button. We're going to go back, left click and release, and we're going to start again. I'm going to click right on this plane. We're going to make it smaller, and we're going to draw the 2 circles at the same time. Here we go. Left click and release, hover over circle, center diameter circle, left click and release. Let's put it in the right spot this time, which is right there. 16, click, and now we're going to do another circle, click, 10. So we're doing them at the same time this time, not 2 different actions. Finish the sketch. Go back over here. Yeah, see, now we can hover over each part. Okay, before they were all connected. That was no good. Now I'm going to hover over this. Notice it turns blue. I left click and released it. Then I'm going to come over here, left click and release, and look what happens. Okay? Now it thinks it wants to cut through, but I'm going to tell it, no, don't cut through. Do a join. Okay, this is one of the times you do want to join. I want to join the ring to the base. And I'm going to click OK. Oh, I didn't make it tall enough. That's okay. Right click over here and release. Go to edit feature, left click and release. And we need to make it 3. Because the base is 3 high. 3.00. And join is okay in this particular case. Click OK. And there we go. That looks pretty good. Okay, we're getting close. Let's take a look. Okay, good. Now we're going to do the rays of light. Same idea. Let's go back home. Let's left click and release, and let's click right here. We're going to put the rays right here on either side connected to the base. So I want to draw right on here and then extrude it the same way I did the ring. So click there. Let's get it straight. Left click and release, left click and release line. So where are the rays coming from? Well, this is the light tower right here. So I'm going to put the rays right here. It's very simple. Watch. Left click and release, make a ray. Let's see, this is straight, so I'll make the ray 3 up that way. This is the horizontal, 3 down this way. Left click and release, left click and release. Same thing on the other side. Let me make it straight here. Let's see. There it is right there. There it is right there. Whoops, I missed a spot. That's okay. Okay, that's it. There's my two rays. Left click and release. Left click and release on the home button. Highlight the rays by holding down the shift button. Whoops. There we go. Notice where I am. Look. You see, I really am drawing on that plane. Look. See, you can see what plane you're drawing on. Okay, let's hit the home button. All I got to do now is left click and release and pull it up 3. 3.00 mm. Oh, we forgot to join it. No big deal. Right click and release. Left click and release. It says cut. We want to join it. And check it out. We now have the rays. All right, let's keep going. Now we got to put our name down here. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Same idea. Left click and release. Go back to the home button. We want to draw down here. We're going to put our name right on the bottom here on this bottom floor plate. Here we go. Make it smaller. Left click and release. Left click and release. And we want to put it, let's say, 2 millimeters. Let's say 2 millimeters into the base. Why? Because you'll see in a minute. Click, and let's make it pretty deep in case our name is large. Oh, okay, obviously that's too big. Okay, well, this would be your name. Okay, obviously it's too big. You got to make it the right size. Let's try 5. 5 is too small. Let's try 7. 7 is too large. Let's try 6. How about 6.5? That looks pretty good. All right, let's try. How about 6.6? How about 6.7? How about 6.8? I like that. Okay, 6.8. Let's center it. And let's click OK. Now it's a little too high, so I'm just going to hover over it. I'm going to right click and release, and then left click and release on move copy. Just going to move it down a little bit. Okay. Now the reason why I'm connecting the name to the base plate is because otherwise the letters will not attach to the base plate. I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to click Finish Sketch. I'm going to left click and release on the home button, and all I have to do now is hover over it, left click and release, come over here, left click and release, and we got our arrow again. We can click, drag, and drop. Uh-oh, it's trying to cut again. We don't want it to cut, we want it to join. Let's join it, and we want to join it at 3 millimeters. 3.00 millimeters. There we go. Check it out. And there we go. Okay, now this is the base part of the Kingsborough Lighthouse keychain. Now we want to draw the second layer on top, right? This is the 3 millimeter blue layer, and on top we're going to put the 1 millimeter yellow layer or silver layer, because that's what I have in the 3D printer, either yellow or silver, okay, that you'll be able to 3D print when you come in to class this week or next week. Okay, so here we go. Now I have to draw and highlight, let's say the rays I can highlight, and the name I could highlight, and if I want I can put some windows in. So let's go to the top view. Now this time, let's go back home for a minute. This time I'm not drawing down here, I'm drawing up here. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here and left click and release, and I'm going to draw on top. Okay, I'm going to draw right on top of these rays here. Okay, this is all going to be blue. Well, you know what? Let's make it blue. Let's go to Modify. Let's go to Appearance. Let's make it blue. Let's move this up. Let's see. I like to use paint. Where's my paint colors? There we go. Now I'm going to click, drag, and drop. Watch what happens. Remember, everything is joined. Click, drag, and drop. And look, everything is blue. I'm going to make the rays yellow and the name yellow, and we can put some windows in. Let's close it out. So I'm going to go to the top, just like that. And I'm going to left click and release, and I'm going to draw right on top of here. How do I know I'm drawing on top of there? Well, look, it highlights. Click. There it is. I'm going to draw right on top. And I'm just going to trace these rays. I'm going to left click and release, left click and release, and let's see, let me draw the rays. Boom. 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 And that's it. Finish the sketch and watch what happens. Oh, I think I missed it. Did I miss a line? Yes. Oh, looks like I missed a line. That's okay. Right click and release. Edit sketch, left click and release. Let's see what happened. Looks like I missed a line. That's interesting. You want to know something? I'm going to delete the whole thing. I'm going to right click and delete. I'm deleting that sketch. Okay, it's not deleting the sketch. That's interesting. Let me finish the sketch. See if it deletes it this way. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I deleted the sketch. All right, let me try this again. Left click and release. I want to draw right on this plane. Left click and release. It's spinning around. Let's spin it back where it belongs. I'm going to center it. Okay, I'm going to left click and release. Left click and release. All right. Click. Left click and release. Left click and release. Left click and release. And double click. Left click and release. Left click and release. Left click and release. And double click. All right, there we go. Now I got it. Let's finish the sketch. Let's go back home. Let's hover over the sketches. Left click and release. Push down the shift button. Left click and release. So I got both of them at the same time. Left click and release. And voila, click, drag, and drop. Now I only want to make this 1 millimeter high because I don't want to use a lot of plastic. Okay, new body, not join this time. New body because we want to make it into a separate color. Okay, and how can we make it into a separate color? Very easy. Just go to Modify. Just go to Appearance. And click, drag, and drop on the yellow. Click, drag, and drop. Click, drag, and... Oh, okay, they're all connected, so we only have to do it once. All right, we're getting closer, yes? We certainly are. Let's take a look. Okay, so we highlighted our rays of light. Let's go back to top. Now we're going to do the name. We're going to highlight the name. So it's going to be blue underneath and yellow on top. Here we go. I'm going to left click and release. Left click and release, so I know I'm drawing on this plane right here. Okay. Hold on a second. It's spinning around. I'm going to spin it in the right direction. I'm making it smaller, and I'm centering it with my scroll wheel. I'm going to left click and release. Left click and release. And I am going to draw the name. Left click and release. And left click and release. Let's type in the name. N-A-M-E. You would be typing in your name, obviously. And what did we make it? 6.8, I think we made it, right? Yeah, it looks like it's remembering. Anyway, you have to remember what size you made it previously because you have to highlight it on top of the blue. The yellow's got to go on top of the blue in the exact perfect position. All right, let's click OK. Let's go back to the home button. Let's hover over it. And let's move it. Let's go back to the top button so now I can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I'm going to move it so that it's in the right spot. Oh, Oh, look, it's connected to the corner here. All right, that's no good. Let's cancel that. Let's finish the sketch. And let's go back to the home button. I think it might have locked on this point here, but we'll see in a minute. Okay, anyway, you finished the sketch. You can always finish the sketch and go back, right? Because remember, you could always edit the tree. Right-click and release. Move copy. Go back to the top so I can see what I'm doing. I need to make sure that this name is matching. Oh, look, it's locked. Okay, somehow it locked. All right, let's click OK. I'm going to delete this sketch. Okay, and this time I'm going to make sure it doesn't lock. It locked in this position, okay, which means we were spinning it around. That's okay. Let's go back to the home button. Let's start again. Left click and release. Left click and release. Let's spin it around. Let's get it larger. Left click and release. Text, left click and release. And this time, you know something? It doesn't really matter where we draw it. Okay? Because believe it or not, you're drawing on here, on this plane, right on top, even though you might be drawing down here. So it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to draw it down here so it doesn't lock to this point here. Okay? Anyway, it's clicking. It's clicking. And there it is. All right, let's type our name in. N-A-M-E. Oh, there it is. It might be perfect now. Who knows? We shall see. 6.8 is correct. I'm going to click Finish Sketch. Then I'm going to hover over this, right-click and release, and left-click and release. See, now I can move this up and down properly. Okay, let's get it in the right spot. Oh, it looks pretty good. All right, let's click on it and see what happens. Click OK. Okay. All right, let's hover over this. Let's right-click. Take a look at it. Okay. All right. So left-click and release. Left-click and release. And there we have our click, drag, and drop. It looks blue. We don't want it to be blue. We don't want to join it this time, right? Remember, we want a new body, so I can color it. Let's make it, again, 1 millimeter. 1.00 millimeters. And there we got it. And let's take a look. Let's see if it's on top of the blue. Well, you know what? Let's make it yellow so we can see it. Then we'll be able to see the difference better. Let's go to Modify. Let's go to Appearance. And look, it remembers the color you did. So just click, drag, and drop, or come down here and click. Click, drag, and drop. And we're highlighting the name now, right? So we got a blue base and yellow or silver highlights. Okay, so that's done. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if we actually drew directly on top of. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's take a look. I'm bending it down. Just want to see if I'm drawing. Yeah, it looks like, oh yeah, they're lined up. Everything is lined up. Let's put some windows in. Okay, again, left click and release, left click and release, and we'll put a couple of windows into the lighthouse. All right, here we go. So, how do we put a window in? No big deal. Create, 2-point rectangle. How about center rectangle? That way we can start in the center. There we go. Here, check this out. Center rectangle, go up, and then go across. Oh, it's a little bit too close to the name, so I'm going to hit the escape button. Okay, let's try it again. Create, rectangle, center point rectangle. Let's start right here. There we go, that's a little better. That looks like a nice window. There's window number 1. Let's try window number 2. Well, here. Now I am not going to use center rectangle. I'm going to go back to create, and I'm going to use 2-point rectangle. That way I can connect the, let's see. Click, drag, and drop. Click, drag, and drop. Click, drag, and drop. Click, drag, and drop. And there's some windows. Oh, it looks pretty cool. Okay, so we got some windows. Let's go back to the home button. Let's highlight our windows by holding down the shift button. Make sure they turn dark blue. And left click and release. And we're going to make those a new body. And again, 1 millimeter. 1.0. Right? No join. It keeps clicking to join. Go back, make it a new body so we could highlight it as yellow. And then we again go back to modify, go back to appearance, click, drag, and drop. Okay, looks like it's coming pretty good. Let's take a look. All right, let's spin it around, see how we like it. Do we like it? Do we want to put something else on top? Oh, I know. Let's put the date over here. Yeah, we forgot the date. All right, left click and release. Remember, we're not drawing here. We're not drawing over here. We're not drawing down here. We're drawing on top. Left click and release. All right, let's make it smaller. Left click and release. Text, left click and release. And let's put 2023 right here. Okay, that looks pretty good. 2023. You can put whatever date you want. Maybe put your graduation date, maybe. Let's see. What size? Let's make it 6. 6 is too big. How about 5? 5 is too big. How about 4? 4 is too small. How about 4.5? There we go. That looks pretty good. It's centered already. Click OK. Now remember, if you want to move it around, just right click and release and move copy. Let's move it down a little bit because it's too close to the edge over there. Yeah, this looks pretty good. Okay, there we go. All right, finish sketch. Left click and release, left click and release, hover over it, left click and release, left click and release, and make sure it says new body, but just be careful. Every time I go up here for the dimension, it winds up trying to join it. We do not want to join it. Hit new body. Hit OK. And let's go back to modify. Let's go back to appearance. Boom. Boom. This is just click, drag, and drop. Click, drag, and drop. That's all this is. Okay, I think we're done. That looks pretty good. Let's take a look at it. Okay, well, here's your name. Goes down here. You got some windows. You can put some more windows up here if you want, or you can draw something else if you want. The only tricky part is you can't make any of the type less than 5 millimeters high because it won't 3D print. Okay? Anyway, let's take a look. Let's look at the back. Let's look at the side. This looks pretty good. All right, now you have to post a picture. How are you going to post a picture? You got to come down here to viewports and you're going to hit multiple views. You're going to post this picture right here so I can see everything that you did. Okay, and then you're going to take a screenshot. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, well, that's it for the 3D KCC Lighthouse Fusion 360 drawing.